First
Loud,
time.
confusing noises by John.
First time ever.
Every time I try to do something random before we come in, just to throw you all off guard, and I forgot today, so I apologize.
That's why we don't have confused looks on our faces today, lads.
I always have a confused look on my face when we talk about football because I know nothing. Welcome back, everybody.
It's good.
It's been a while. Not a Monday, but a Wednesday.
It's been a weird week in football, so...
Well, welcome back, Dean. Actually, Dean, you haven't been on for a while, so it's good to have you back.
Yeah. My real job takes up a lot of my time these days, so I try to grace with my presence when I can.
I hate when that happens.
Yeah,
We capitalism.
We don't know.
But soon enough, I won't need that job. Eh?
Fair. Right, so let's talk, because I think there's a few things we want to touch on. We obviously had the final of the Women's Euros during the week. The goalkeeper... Do you remember about 3 weeks ago we said, don't bother thinking about your goalkeepers yet, because the goalkeeper market, when one domino falls, they all start falling. Well, that domino has now fallen. We've also got the GVC. We're looking at, I suppose, Gary's favourite team and Gary's least favourite team in Liverpool and Everton.
Liverpool never
spent all of the money, and the team who, if they spend any money, are going to get another points deduction. And
They're
then
not his least favourite team. I know you, Man United, are his least favourite team.
look,
how would you ever?
Everton have a nice new stadium, so
that's true. That's true.
We shall see during the year how things go. And then at the end, I'm going to look. We're obviously 3 weeks out now from the Premier League season, so we're going to start getting a tip from all of the lads in terms of drafting, what we want to do, how we want to do it, and all of the good stuff. And then I suppose we'll let you in on a little statter update right at the end from Mr. Jimmy. So yeah, where do we want to start? I suppose the Women's Euros.
Yeah, congratulations.
I had my Spain flag hung for a reason.
I mean, come on, John. It's not like every Irish person tunes in to watching major tournament finals just to see England lose. No. Congratulations to the Lionesses. I believe it's 2 in a row for them.
Yep, 2 in a row.
Is that right? That making them categorically the most successful international team football.
3 in a row. I thought I saw that one of the players has now won 3 Euros.
No, they've played in 3 in a row. So they beat Germany in the Euros last time. Then they lost to Spain in the World Cup final 2 years ago, and then they've beaten Spain in the Euros this year. Nearly sure that's the way it goes. But Jimmy, yeah, you'd be right. This does make them the most successful English team of all time. Which, to be fair, wouldn't be hard. But it would not be hard. But if you'd seen them during the tournament, and I actually watched a bit of them, they're good. And this is not a dig. They were not the best team footballing wise in the tournament. I think Spain were, but they were just super resilient. You just could not beat these ladies. They were fantastic in that regard. You couldn't.
I get that, but I also
so many times where you thought they were out of the tournament. Like Sweden had them on the ropes, not just in the 90 minutes, but also in the penalty shootout, and they just refused to be beat. And you have to respect that.
Absolutely, and three games in a row coming from behind to win, I believe.
Yep.
And amazingly, an English team winning on penalties, which really feels like the 7th seal opening in the world ending. But fair play to them.
Twice in the same tournament as well.
Yeah.
So congratulations. And it's only good for the women's game in the UK as well, which means it's good for the women's game in Ireland because it's everywhere. It's good for everywhere, absolutely. But to keep it a bit local, you've got enough of Irish women internationals playing in the Women's Premier League. So
but that English women's team are super successful. Like that Spanish team beat England 1-0 in 2023 in the World Cup final. Obviously, this year England came out the right side of that result in terms of what happens over in the WSL, how that's growing. We've obviously got the likes of Katie McCabe captaining a very successful Arsenal team over there. So the more we've had our first £1 million women signing this summer, and the real mad one that I saw was Chloe Kelly's final penalty. How fast was it? It was fucking fast. It was faster than any strike in the men's Premier League last year, her pen.
Really?
Alexander Isaac hit the highest pace shot in the men's game last year, 109 kilometers. Chloe Kelly's pen hit 110.
That's impressive.
Say it in a penalty shootout. Don't get fancy. Just put your boot through the freaking ball. Honest. Like as a Man United supporter as well, watching Bruno Fernandes, I know his strike rate is outrageous. Penalties, he has an unbelievable record, but my God, the anxiety that goes through me every time he does his little hop, skip, and jump. Just run up and put the thing through the back of the freaking net.
Yeah, I think it was Henry. I heard saying that was it Henry or Ian Wright or someone at Arsenal was saying that the trick is to close your eyes and kick it as hard as you can, because there's 4 corners. The goalie can only go to one of them. So but there's a certain amount of technique in that level of speed as well.
And look, we'll move on from it, but like as I said, the women's game now is growing. Alicia Russo scored in ordinary time, and it was Calendai who scored on the Spanish team. But like some of the names in that English women's team, like are household names to most football fans now. You've got Lucy Bronze, Leah Williamson, Georgia Stanway, Lauren Hemp, Ella Toon, Lauren James, Alicia Russo. There's real quality there. Like, and even on the bench, there was players like Maya Letitia, obviously a very, very famous name in football in general. So, like, there is quality coming in terms of the Irish setup. You've got the likes of Katie McCabe. We've got a few other Irish players playing over there. So, more of this, please. Let's keep. I'm very happy to see. I like football, and the more quality football and the higher quality football we get to watch. Cool, let's do it. So
and just to say that the quality of football was really, really high. The amount of people who I've heard saying earlier on in the tournament, sure, the quality can't be that great, and then they sat down and watched one of the games and went, I'm actually shocked at how good the quality is. It is really, really good to watch.
Yeah.
So do give it a try. Do give it a look. If you've never watched women's football before, try it.
WSL starts in October.
Yeah.
So yeah, give it a crack when it comes in. So moving on. Safe hands. We literally, I think it was it 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, where we put up the article on. We had an article up on the blog. Jimmy, where can they find that blog?
They can find that at StatrDraft.com. That's STATR draft.com. Yes, I was practicing that pointing trick. That's STATR draft.com. Yes, I put up a foolishly early blog about who were the goalies to keep an eye on in the season ahead, which actually turned into naturally what happened last year. Everybody now has since very selfishly, I think, for a group of professional footballers, the goalkeepers have all got together and completely ruined my article by all playing musical jobs. And they have all gone mad this week. And John, I think you should just take us through those dominoes you were talking about. I know my friend Nick Pope is on the move, but what's happening in Newcastle?
Nick Pope is going. Nick Pope probably has to go somewhere. Aaron Ramsdale is off to Newcastle. You've got James. Nick Pope probably ends up in the Burnley seat right now. He was there before. It was his team that he was with before Newcastle. He was part of Sean Dyche's Super Burnley team. I think that's where he goes back. But Leeds have also been mooted for him. So Aaron Ramsdale, Southampton, relegated last year. Better than the 3 relegations on his CV. There's a reason why Arsenal bought him for all that money after Southampton went down. But anyway. So yeah. And then James Trafford, the very highly rated goalkeeper at Burnley, English international. He's gone back to City, where he left them 2 years ago from their academy to go to Burnley. And he's gone back. They've essentially, Man City have exercised their buyback clause, which then in turn means that Ederson is probably... 2 months ago, he said, my heart is in Manchester and I want to stay here. But since...
United? Hardly United.
No. Saudi, Turkey, Galatasaray, and Fenerbahce. Supposedly, the Turkish league is spending bank this summer. By the way, go check out some of the transfer fees they've dropped, like John Durant for 75 million, just being one transfer fee paid in the Turkish league this year. But yeah, Ederson will either probably go to Turkey or Saudi.
Do you think he does that, or does he stick around with Trafford there for a year and then goes off into the sunset after one more year?
I don't think you put nearly 40 million down on the keeper to leave him sit on the bench. And I don't think
if it was any other club, I'd agree with you. But City,
I don't think does that young fella in a World Cup year go and sit on the bench when he has been literally getting called up to be England's third keeper.
he goes and plays Pep Roulette and gets probably 15, 20 appearances a year between 5 competitions.
Not
I mean,
enough
like this idea of anyone else spending a whole load of money just for a rotation paper would be insane if it was anyone else.
I think
Pep Roulette hasn't gone away.
I think it's the highest transfer paid for an English goalkeeper.
I actually went looking, I couldn't find anyone who was higher. But look, I get where you're coming from in a World Cup year, but like, I think Trafford knows if he is going to the World Cup next year, he's sitting on his hole behind Pickford.
Still wants to go to
the World Cup. And he's 21.
I think Ederson is off to Saudi. He was nearly gone next year. He basically gave Pep one more year. I reckon that's what's happening. I don't think you don't go make the most expensive English goalkeeper. You don't buy back a player that you sold 2 years ago for that kind of money to put him on the bench. Like, you don't.
No, I get it.
I've said it before and I've said it again. I think City might be potentially preparing for a long-term transfer ban. So I do think, John, that it is something that you could do. But
you know what? Actually,
for a year.
That's a good call.
I think City are. This is what City are doing. They're doing paying a mountain of money over that. They spent like nearly $1 billion since last summer. Like, it's absolutely scandalous. I think they're preparing for a lengthy transfer ban. So I wouldn't be surprised if Ederson is their starting keeper this season, and Trafford takes over the mantle in 26, 27. That's what I think.
I think that's a fair point, though, Dean. I actually didn't even consider that with the transfer ban, but I think from a tactical side of things, Ederson is so important to City. I don't think you bring in a replacement 2 weeks,
he's
3
had
weeks.
A lot of injury problems. He's also the last 2 years.
I know, but I don't think you bring in a keeper as a long-term replacement with only 3 weeks for pre-season underneath him, because that's a risk. That is a risk. I think you let Trafford sit behind Ederson for a year. You give him a couple of games just to bet himself back in, and then, as Dean said, next year he's your number one. I think Liverpool are doing the same thing with Marmadashvili, with Alisson. For me, it makes sense to do it that way. But with City, you never know. You never know. Like, if Turkey come to the table with a lot of money for Ederson, like, you can never tell. You can never tell when it comes to.
Well, like I'm seeing here, Ederson has been looking at Galatasaray. So, but like again, it could be like they could be looking for him to stay.
He's still very young as well for a keeper. Like, he's only 31 years old. Like, a lot of keepers keep going.
He's had a few injuries. He's also won it all. If he's looking at a move to a Saudi or a Galatasaray, it's for a big paycheck.
Yeah. But I don't think it's this season. It's time to be corrected. Like, I wouldn't put my house on it, but I don't think
someone like James Trapp.
You never know what Pep either.
You never know what Pep will like.
You know, like he left Gundogan go a couple of years ago to Barca, and he bought him like a year later. You know, he kind of he sells players that you don't expect him to sell. You know, you never know what's going on.
The first transfer he did at City was basically tank out Golden Gloves winner Joe Hart, which just seemed mental at the time. It was like the fellow who won best keeper literally a year ago. Don't want you. You're crap. And his career went off the rails, and at the time he was an absolutely stunning keeper.
Can I ask a question that isn't about City just for a second? Because I think they're going to be like last night's kebab all over our front all bloody season. But anyway, help me understand Pope. Like, Nick Pope seemed to be very nailed on, very central to the Newcastle defence. A move to Burnley only makes sense if he had fallen out of favour or wasn't performing, particularly to be replaced by Aaron Ramsdale, who was objectively a good keeper, but not necessarily as stellar as Pope in terms of sweeper keeper. Is this about a tactical change at Newcastle? Is it because Ramsdale probably costs less? Was Pope unhappy? What got him moving?
There's a weird thing with Pope. He seems to be a little bit. I find him underrated. We here have an awful lot of respect for him, but in general, there isn't, because he's not the play with his feet type keeper, or he doesn't seem it because he's massive. He's a very, very good goalkeeper, but he's probably in the slightly outdated model of goalkeeper, if you get me. Aaron Ramsdale, despite the relegations, is a stunning keeper. That's why he went to Arsenal and was the Arsenal goalkeeper and was very, very good. And when they bought Raya, it wasn't a case of Raya's definitely going to be first choice. It was a case of let's see what happens. Nobody knows what's going to happen here. So he's actually a better keeper. But the thing is with goalkeepers, they're willing to go to teams that will probably be lower than their ability because at every team, you can play a formation where you can have 3 forwards. At Premier League football, there's one goalkeeper. There's one first choice goalkeeper. So if you're going to be second choice at Newcastle, second choice at Man United, and you want to play, where do you go? What do you do?
So you think this was more Pope left because Ramsdale came in and not the other way around?
Yes. Pope will be leaving because Ramsdale is coming in. Newcastle wanted to look at the goalkeeper position anyway because in the last 2 years, Pope has had 2 injuries as well. That has meant Martin Dubravka has played a bit more football. So they're probably looking at someone maybe potentially a little sturdier, maybe someone who's a bit more of a slightly modern goalkeeper, more modern goalkeeper than the Nick Pope archetype, if you want to call it that. But wherever Pope goes, he's still, for me, an absolute nail-on draft pick because if he goes to a Burnley or a Leeds, he's going to be the Premier League's ultimate siege goalkeeper next year.
Yeah, his value only goes up. He's like he was strong before, but at a Burnley or a Leeds, he's got nothing.
If I'm in Man United's boat right now and they need English players and they need a goalkeeper, I'd be like, I would actually look like they're looking at Emi Martinez, they're looking at Donnarumma, by all accounts, in the last day or so, and I'll ask Dean about that in a second. But like, I would look. Nick Pope is an upgrade on Onana. He's of an age as well where if you got a year out of him as first choice and he went to second choice, or you sold him next year for also a couple of pounds, cool, fine.
It's good business.
He could be there for 2 years, be solid for where they're at right now. But he'll probably end up, and the comments will scream at that suggestion because this is where you'll see the hate for Nick Pope. That the fact that I've suggested he could be a Man United goalkeeper, it would be a case of, are you mad? He's Burnley, he's elite, but he's a solid goalkeeper in the Premier League. There's 20 jobs available, and if you're not one of in those 20 seats, you're sitting on a bench all year.
So naturally, Liverpool have 4. No, I get it. I do. I'm surprised that Pope isn't held in higher regard. Just as a numbers man, he is like there's 3 of them in it: Sells, Pickford, and Pope. That's it. If you haven't picked one of them as your first goalie last season, you didn't win anything. Go again. I'm just surprised that Pope will be seen as as a lesser asset than Ramsdale because I know, and not even the relegation thing, but Ramsdale seems to move around an awful lot between teams that let in a lot of goals. And that to me does not scream good fantasy asset. So I think actually Pope will be the bigger asset next year than Ramsdale because Newcastle could be, well...
But this is the thing, it's musical chairs. So as I said, Trafford's in at City means Ederson is arguably going to be leaving the league. You're over at Newcastle, Ramsdale in, which means Pope out. There's a couple of teams in the market for a goalkeeper. You've also got Emi Martinez, who United had a loan deal rejected 2 weeks ago. He's also potentially looking at an out from a Villa, which means they're going to have a knock-on domino effect here somewhere on the chain. And United, who are desperate to find a goalkeeper. And Dean, do you want to talk to me about this goalkeeper situation at United in general?
Yeah, do you know what? Like it seems as that we're linked in the past 48 hours or so with 2 keepers, Donnarumma and Emi Martinez. Now, Emi Martinez is a World Cup champion, and he is also Premier League proven. And also, Donnarumma won the Champions League this year, PSG's first Champions League, and he also got to the World Cup final. So if you want to be linked with 2 keepers, like they are 2 quality keepers to be linked with. A lot of people like to give Onana a bit of an out, saying, it's kind of like the opposite end of like Højlund, saying Højlund isn't getting service, or saying that Onana isn't really getting the protection that he needs from his defenders. I've seen him parry the ball away enough times and then goals get knocked in, as a result of it. I personally, I just don't rate him. I do think that we need a more solid goalkeeper, whether it was Martinez or Donnarumma. I'm not really bothered by which one we got. I think either of them will be an unbelievable signing. But again, I don't really know how concrete these talks are as well. Apparently, Aston Villa are really keen on selling Martinez. And these rumours about Donnarumma have only come out, from what I can see, the past day or so. So I don't even know how concrete those thoughts
by all
are.
accounts, they're concrete. I'm looking at the thing here. So PSG have basically signed the Lille goalkeeper Chevalier or whatever he's called.
Smith.
This guy is, if like I've seen the highlight reel of the video, like of the boy he's the next keeper, if you get me. So PSG are buying him, and by all accounts, because of the service Donnarumma has given to PSG, they're potentially willing to let him leave or terminate his contract with it because he only has a year to play.
Well, I mean, if he terminates his contract, even better, we get him on a free. But again, like I said, a Champions League champion and World Cup silver medal, I think they'd be stupid not to at least try and get like 30 million for him, something like that. But,
yeah, I'm looking at this thing and I'm like,
But surely he has. Like, I mean, does Donnarumma not have his? And look, resident Liverpool supporter having a dig at United, shock horror. But does Donnarumma go to United when there's other there's?
What seats available? If you're a
I
Donnarumma,
don't know. That's what I'm asking the question. That's the question I'm asking.
You have Courtois at Madrid. You have Ter Stegen at Barca.
I mean, Donnarumma has peaked now. Like he's not going to those kind of teams. He's not going to like Real Madrid or.
Well, he's only 26 years of age.
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking some
couple good years at United could get bigger names looking. I mean, if you're the United goalkeeper and you do a good job for a couple of years at that age,
but surely
United,
doing a job for the European champions, you're not going to get more opportunity than that to move to the biggest clubs in the world. Now, fair enough. I get Courtois at Madrid. I don't know who's at Bayern, and they've been doing a bit of business. But Neuer is probably not there long term because of the injury record. And this is not a dig at United. I don't mean it to sound like a dig at United, but is there better options out there for Donnarumma? If he becomes available, I'm sure there's going to be some sort of.
By all accounts, he is available.
United's hands to get him.
By all accounts, he is available. Bayern wouldn't be a bad place for him to go.
I'm just wondering, is there there will be a fight for his signature? He is a world-class goalkeeper who has just won the Champions League with PSG. He was a big factor in them winning that Champions League.
No, I get this, but PSG have bought their goalkeeper, and they've spent bank on him, and they're willing to sell Donnarumma. It's just a case of where he ends up now. So the reason why those rumors have come out in the last day or so is because your man's only signed yesterday from Lille. He was the guy that was in goals when Lille put Madrid out of the Champions League last year. He was very good.
Yeah, like United haven't done a lot of business at the back. I don't think this summer. So I think that they should, if the opportunity is there to sign him, I think that they should really go on and
he's a goalkeeper, a forward, a midfielder.
I'm getting word that there's a third goalie now in the mix for United, and it's Ortega.
What?
Who is going horribly to waste at City, but that would be a City to United transfer, which is always a little bit of a.
I can't.
But it would solve the question of how do you fit Ederson and Trafford in? Well, you fit in both, because Pep's insane, and then you let Ortega go. Again, he's an improvement on Onana.
This is also true, but I think it's a case of there's so many moving parts here. Like, this is the goalkeeper thing. If Donnarumma ends up at United, Onana's sitting there going, well, I ain't get my position back off him. It's very different if Nick Pope comes in. He'll probably fancy his chances there, but if Donnarumma comes in, then Onana's a sellable asset for United. They'll ship him off to Saudi, get a few quid in the bank. Ortega, Martinez moves, Ortega could go to Villa.
Like, I'm looking here, like, Ortega's 32 years old, like Donnarumma is 6 years younger than him. I mean, if they manage to get Donnarumma, he could be like the next kind of like David De Gea for him, like nailed on for the next decade for United. Like, I think they should be looking at, like, Donnarumma is young enough, but also has a lot of experience too for his age. So
he was the Italian goalkeeper at 18.
Yeah. Like he has a lot of experience for his age and has achieved a lot already in his career. I think that they should. He's kind of a very good shout. Again, though, we'll take Martinez as well. But as well, your man Binder, he hasn't really done it for United as well as their second option. So if they're looking at Ortega for maybe kind of like a second option, what is just for like the kind of like League Cup and stuff, games like that. We do need a backup keeper. We need a first keeper and a backup keeper. So maybe that's an option. But no, but he is also too young to kind of be a backup keeper probably at this point. So, and he's already a backup keeper at City, so he probably wants to go to his next club and be getting minutes. So
yeah.
I think so.
I
don't know.
If Donnarumma goes to United, he goes to the top of the draft list for goalkeepers.
Yep. Well, if United do a bit of... So basically, I'm literally just pulled it up there. So this is where the dominoes could start to fall for United, and shit could get interesting quickly. And we'll breeze past this because there's a couple of teams we want to talk to Gary about. But Al Nassr have come in with a bid about 2 hours ago for Anthony. So that's him gone in terms of wages, and that's about a 30 million transfer fee. It's something probably. Garnacho still whatever, but Sancho Garnacho still to go out from that bomb squad.
Garnacho Watkins swap deal apparently.
Yes.
I think that's.
If anything, it should also be at least probably like 10-15 million United to. I think maybe even 20 million.
No.
Watkins no. I think so. Garnacho's
Premier League proven goal scorer though.
Proven problem as well, several times. Squad problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That has a price tag these days.
But if United get in Donnarumma, they basically earlier on tonight they've by all accounts started talks for Sesko from Leipzig. You get in that centre forward, you get in that centre back, the goalkeeper, you sell off that scrap. I think there's a random sale in the offing. So if they do those two deals, that's a forward, it's a goalkeeper. They're going to get rid of Anthony, Sancho, Garnacho. I reckon at that point they go in and buy a midfielder, and it'll just be interesting to see. I think United will do 3 more deals this summer: goalkeeper, forward, midfielder, in that order.
That's what makes.
So if Garnacho does go to Aston Villa, does that put him up a couple of rounds in terms of draft pick because he'll be with a bit more competent team, and they might be able to bring out like he might go from maybe a 5th round pick to maybe like a 3rd round pick, do you think?
I'd say 7th to 5th, to be honest with you, because he strikes me as being the kind of young man who can get into
Jimmy, he'll be a 3rd round draft because
Dean's going to do it. Yeah.
Well,
this whole podcast, the entire purpose of this podcast from day one has been every time Dean is on to get another little insight into his draft plan. I think we have the first 9 rounds now, so the whole thing is just a conspiracy against you, mate. No, I don't know. I don't think he was ever a 3rd round draft for me. I think going in blind on last year, he might have been a great 3rd round draft, but he is of uncertain future, mixed past, and constant complication right now. And he's just, I like to play it safe. I want 38 games. I want nailed on. And that's just not him right now. We don't know which club he's going to be at. Is it going to be at the one where he's been told piss off, or the one where we don't know who it is? I'm keep my powder dry on Garnacho for now.
Yeah, I think he's a punt. For me, he's a 9th rounder.
Dean picked him last year in the 5th.
Because you don't know if he's getting 38 games.
Sorry, I picked him for Dean in the 5th last year.
Awful man.
It worked out for him for the first half of the season, in fairness. And Dean was very happy with that pick. And the way I picked Dean's first 4 or 5 rounds was, how would Dean pick?
Yeah, it's true.
When did you pick Fabian Schär?
And that's why he
did. And that's why he did. He picked Fabian Schär, not me.
And he was a good pick. He had a bit of a rocky start, but he came good in the end. I think he said
we're going to do that thing. That thing we've been talking about. We're going to do that.
Yeah.
The thing.
Yeah.
I think so.
The thing.
So.
Big thing.
Nothing to worry about, Dino. Nothing to worry about.
Nothing to worry about at all.
No.
What's that behind you? No, it's all good. We put down the in-jokes. I think it's time to work out what Gary has been staring at this week. Gary, are there any teams of note that you want to talk about this
Will we
week?
just get rid of Everton because we know he's going to shit on about Liverpool forever?
No, he has to do Everton first because
No,
we can't
yeah,
talk about
absolutely.
Liverpool forever.
We're 100% doing Everton first. Because I have a funny feeling that the conversation around Liverpool is going to be a bit controversial.
Of course it is.
Of course it is. But yeah, let's start the GVC this week with Everton. So as always, we look at 3 players: one who you should be drafting, one who you want to avoid, and one who might just deliver you what you want to in terms of performance to try and get you that league title at the end of it. And for Everton to start off with, no prizes for guessing who it is. It's Tarkowski. It's as simple as that. Incredible last first name out from Everton is Tarkowski. It's not Jordan Pickford.
Jordan Pickford finished 2nd overall in keepers last season.
He finished
Or
second.
he finished first, actually.
He finished.
And look, I think.
But he was 70 points
as a
behind
goalkeeper,
Tarkowski.
he's definitely someone you have in your top 3, depending on how the goalkeeper market works out. But you don't pick goalkeepers before round 6. Simple as that. Tarkowski was the top-rated defender last year. He did 12 points a game. Anyone else in that Everton squad you do not look at. And Tarkowski potentially this year is a round 1 draft pick. But John's going to disagree with me. Come on, John. Who's your pick?
I was going to talk Pickford as well, but your logic on the goalkeeper run is fair. I do think there's also...
Except it's not as simple as don't pick to round 6. If the run starts, you
it's not.
If the goalkeeper run starts, you pick Jordan Pickford. That's just how it is.
Yeah,
I haven't said that. That it's a fair argument, so I'm willing to agree on Tarkowski. I think where we're going to debate is on the wild card, because I have 2 wild cards in the pot that I'm meandering around. So I want to hear your thoughts.
I have 2 as well. The first one is Jake O'Brien.
Yep.
So we're actually in agreement there. So.
Very much in agreement there. Moyes played him as a right back. He didn't get much game time under Sean Dyche. His points were solid. First season in the Premier League. I think he pushes on, especially if he's playing at right back.
100%. And I think he's got not only is he good going forward, he is very, very solid at the back. He wins headers left, right, and centre.
James Coleman is still there, the Irish connection, that bit of a guiding hand.
Yeah, but Coleman's going to be taking a step back. I think he's been.
But that's it.
He'll probably get on a more coaching role under Moyes. So
exactly.
The other one I was looking at though was Alcaraz, potentially as well.
That's where I disagree with you.
He was the only other one from a wild card perspective who I was looking at. Jake O'Brien is my wild card nailed on. Alcaraz, just when he was playing last year, didn't show much, but I think the system that Moyes is going to start playing, Alcaraz will fit nicely into that. He is potentially, a Souček when Moyes was at West Ham style player. Could be totally wrong. Am I looking at him until rounds 9 or 10? No, I'm not. But he was the other kind of possible wild card. But ultimately, my choice is Jake O'Brien. The man you want to avoid is Ilman Ndiaye.
That's interesting because I agree. But over in FPL, I've been obviously I follow a few people, and he seems to be popping up in an awful lot of these so-called experts squads.
And I've no idea why. Because he's, as far as I remember, he is classed as a forward.
Midfielder.
Is he classed?
He's a forward.
No, he's classed as a midfielder.
Well, then that's changed. That's changed for this season because I think he was classed as a forward last year who played in midfield. I don't know.
Maybe that's why people are looking at him as an asset.
Maybe. But if he's classed as a forward and he's playing in midfield, the things that are going to get you points for your 4 forwards, he's not going to be doing. Do it's the and I can't remember the lad who they signed from
Tierney Beto.
No, Beto was
Barry. Sorry, Tierno Barry, the fellow.
Tierno Barry.
The monster, the monster.
The typical Moyes style centre forward.
Dean, this fella is one of my centre forwards. This giant 6'5", just unit.
He is Duncan Ferguson reincarnated. This fella is massive. Yeah, he's probably not got the wild, dirty streak that Ferguson had,
He's
which
a big boy.
we all loved but hated at the same time. But I don't with him there, with Beto there, doesn't Ndai get time up front? No, he will probably play in midfield because he's good enough to play in that starting 11. But I think you avoid him. I think you potentially try and avoid Dwight McNeil as well because bit of context. He did really, really well last year. I think a lot of people are probably going to be looking at him going, "Oh, potentially round 6, round 7."
I'm looking at my wild card is Barry.
Deano Barry.
Yeah, Everton have needed a forward. Beto has been threatening to be it, but not quite being it.
It's not Beto. It's not going to be Beto.
No, but
it's not going to be Beto.
No, that's what I mean. He's been better since Moyes came in, but I think they needed a forward. They've now got a big boy up front. He's very much in a Moyesy mold. I think he's the bully boy type centre forward that would suit Everton and David Moyes. So he's my wild card. I see the Jacob Ryan one, that he was the other one I was looking at. Who's your avoid, did you say?
Ilman and Ndai.
Yes.
Just to clarify on Ndai, Ndai has been recategorized like Cunha from forward into midfield in FPL because obviously there weren't enough midfielders. He will still be classified as a forward in Statter.
That's why you avoid him.
That's why you avoid him. Yeah, there are better forwards to get. I'm going to throw something different at you, lads, and I'm going to say Mykolenko. And the reason I'm going to say Mykolenko is because he's tipping 10 points a game. He has significantly more key passes and gets forward a bit more than Tarkowski. He doesn't deliver the same points, but he's also a top 40 player overall last year. Again, it's the nailed onity. I am not suggesting Mykolenko in your first 5 rounds. I'm saying if you've got a subs bench to fill, he's the kind of player you want. Yep. He's going to be there. He's going to be busy. He's not going to light up the sky, but he's not going to let you down. And he doesn't have, like, McNeil would be lovely if it wasn't for constant injury issues. And I see the logic of a big Diego Costa wrecking ball out front, John. But for me, the wild card, the if nobody's got him and you don't know what to do, which is where the wild cards come in, it's Mykolenko. Yeah. I like Everton backs.
I like nobody's mentioned Jared Braithwaite, though.
No,
they haven't.
It's a shame. But again, there's so many, like, when you actually look through the squad, Everton at the back deliver consistently when it comes to fancy.
And nothing in front. Team, they're going to be rugged. They're going to be strong. They're going to be tough to break down.
You know, so you could look at Braithwaite. You could look at Mykolenko. You could look at Jake O'Brien, and that's probably going to be your starting back 4. To be fair, for Everton, and they are going to be solid.
Yeah. This is why.
And remember as well as Everton's manager got sacked last season, and Moyes took over, and Moyes did like unreal things with Everton. They brought him from relegation fodder to mid-table. So and a lot of the scores that were kind of and they're going into the stadium. So a lot of the scores are kind of looking at are, they could be kind of like dragged down a little bit from the performance in the early part of the season. If they have a full season with David Moyes, they can perform a lot better than they did last season. So for every kind of 10 points to get a game or 7 or 8 points to get a game, maybe don't be afraid to maybe tack on an extra point here or there just for
that's true.
Moyes taking more for the full season,
Yeah,
but not an Ndai.
They're a sleeper. They're a very, very sleeper team this year. But Ndai is enough. I think to be fair, I think Everton are one of those teams. There's probably 3 or 4 players who you look at drafting, and then you keep an eye on them over the first 5 or 6 weeks of the season, and you kind of go, who's playing consistently? Because to be fair, that's one thing that Moyes likes to do. He likes to keep the same starting 11 as much as he possibly can.
That's it. Like they have Nathan Patterson as well, very good player. He could step up. And
he could,
field, you have a James Garner who could improve this year. You've got, as you said, Dwight McNeil. I think the big thing with Everton this year is going to be how do their fans settle in the new stadium. If their fans settle in the new stadium immediately, the team gives them that first game or two where they, have a good start to the season in the new stadium, then we have a problem. And Everton are one of those teams that you pick their players kind of mid-stack to late stack. And then there's obviously one of... You're going to take James Tarkowski mid-stack or higher.
Oh, he's first 2 rounds. He's first 2 rounds. There's no question about that. But after him and Pickford, like they've got this weird thing where they have got one of the top 5 defenders and one of the top 3 goalies in a team that is bottom quarter for the most part. Like it's such an anomaly, and to have the 2 of the leading lights in defensive positions screams about what the value is of those second tier teams like your Burnley or your Leeds or your Man United, those shitty bottom half teams. Good defenders are why they don't get relegated for the most part. United is a different thing, but the reason these teams don't go down is because they have the defensive chops to get the draw against the big team and occasionally sneak 3 points out of a game. The guys who lose all the games go down, and their defenders are mostly shit. Their goalies are fun, but their defenders are mostly shit. So Everton are an anomaly that way. But I don't think you're picking much up there after those 2 boys are gone. I don't see anybody calling Everton for the first 6 rounds.
I think you're looking at a Barry in a 9 to 12. Spain.
You take a punt on him, but
Dwight McNeil is a safe 10 to 12 pick.
But then you keep an eye on for the first 6 weeks and see who's performing and potentially swap out for your 10 or 11 or 12 round pick.
They're also your tradables. Let's say if you have a Gareth Braithwaite, he has a good enough name that you might be able to dump him off on someone for a Nathan Ake, or an Ezri Konsa, or whoever steps up and starts playing well. So summary, Everton, what do we got?
So you're
Tarkers.
You're taking Tarkowski. Your Pickford's probably your number 1 goalkeeper, but depending on what happens with the goalkeeper merry-go-round, we'll see what happens there. Ndai, you avoid, and then O'Brien and Tierno Barry as your wild cards. I think that's fair. I think you can make a case for either of those 2. Jimmy, I know you were saying Mikalenko, and you could probably make a case there as well. To be fair, that's all
the Merseyside teams that exist. That's the end of the podcast for the week.
We're done.
Thanks everyone. Goodbye. Good night. We don't have to talk about anyone else.
So we just leave and let him monologue, will we?
Is there another team in Liverpool?
There is. There is called Tranmere Rovers. No, sorry. Folks, for those who've been following the GBC, they probably were thinking that there was 2 other teams that were due tonight, but because I'm away on holidays, I've convinced the lads to let us look at Liverpool. Because I've been waiting for this discussion. I've been loving this discussion. Look, I think the first pick, the player you take is Mo Salah, right? But you don't take him. It is. You don't take him in the first 5 picks, and there's a couple of reasons why you don't take him in the first 5 picks.
It's mind games. So this
is already wild.
Because you've just decided to give crack cocaine a go?
No.
Cool.
There are
5 rounds?
No. 5 picks. Not
5 picks. Okay, yeah. No, you're still wrong.
No. He goes round 1. He just doesn't go ahead of Haaland, Palmer, Fernandes.
You put Fernandes ahead of.
Yeah. And the reason I do is because Fernandes...
Gary's expecting to be a mid-stack draft this year. This is bullshit. This is Gary pulling.
This is not bullshit, man.
Banana bullshit. Fancy football.
This is not.
Salah's not going to go to mid. Everybody look over here at Haaland. Bruno Fernandes is class. When he Gary,
do you want to hear the logic? Do you want to hear the logic?
Yes.
Right. Salah will be the number 1 player for right up to Christmas. He'll certainly be top 3 up to Christmas. And then there's a little thing called the Africa Cup of Nations that comes along in January, where he'll be gone for 3 to 4 weeks.
He's going to miss like 4 matches.
So
he'll miss 3 or 4 matches. But then if you look at the numbers from February on for Salah, traditionally, and Jimmy, you know what I'm talking about because it happened to you last year, he does fall off. He falls off more when there's been an Africa Cup of Nations.
He does. Although
I'm not saying you don't draft him. I'm not saying so. Just to be clear, I'm not saying you don't draft him round 1. If you're 4th or 5th pick in round 1, he is there for you to take. If nobody else is taking him,
you mean if you're in the top?
If I'm number 1, 2, 3 in the draft, I'm not taking Mo Salah. even though he finished number 1 by a
Very
country
effective.
mile last year. I'm not taking him.
Dean,
Interesting.
if you're in the first 3 picks, you pick Mo Salah.
And I would be hard pressed not to pick him ahead of Haaland as my number 1 pick if I was first. Honestly, he just signed a brand new. He signed a new contract last year. I get your logic about the Africa Cup of Nations, but he signed a new contract last year. You know, he's got the backing of the club to be their star man for the next couple of years. I find it hard. I love Bruno. And I mean, just the way City kind of collapsed for last season a little bit, and I think I'm not confident enough in them to be able to pick Haaland ahead of Salah. And then Chelsea are just, you never know what to go with Chelsea. One year they could finish third, the next year they could finish 7th, the next year they could win the Club World Cup. So I don't know. I think that with the signings that Liverpool have made this summer, they're going to be basically what City were a few years ago. I think my prediction is they win the league this year, and I think Salah is a key part of that. And I just think that it's crazy just not to pick him.
I think I'm going to give you a quick stat check here, guys. He finished on an average of 16, but when we were at Easter, he was in an average of 21 per week. So there was a massive drop off towards the end of the season. And yes, I hear the African Cup of Nations thing. I vaguely remember you on this very podcast telling me it was all going to fall apart for me with Salah in January, and then it didn't. He ticked over. He wasn't great. He wasn't terrible. You're forgetting something crucial, though. Liverpool will, I think, probably win the league again this year. It's not a definite by any means, but it's probable. I don't think they'll win the league by Paddy's Day this year. And part of the reason Salah dropped off so spectacularly is because the Liverpool boys were, let's face it, on the cans for the entire months of April and May. The job was done. We were playing fucking 16-year-olds and like playing with their shorts on their head, and they were just having fun, right? It was great crack. But I don't think Salah will find himself in that position again, wherein his future there is less certain and everything is done. I think you're going to have to work for it up until week 33, 34 this year, at least.
He was also dealing with a lot of negotiations in the back as well, during his downtime, so there was obviously that kind of aspect that might have affected his performance on the pitch as well. So he has to deal with that shit as well now this year.
Yeah, there's definite mitigating factors from last season. There's 2 of them, absolutely. What's the reason for the fall off the year before? What's the reason for the fall off the year before that? Like, if it happens once, there's a reason. If it happens twice, it's a coincidence. If it happens 3 times, it's a trend.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me just clarify this. I love Mo Salah. I think they should be building fucking statues of the man outside of the Shankly Gates. I think he's brilliant. He's been fabulous for Liverpool. I won't have a bad word said against Mo Salah, the player. From a fantasy perspective, and that's what we're here to talk about, he does not go. He should not go in the first 5 picks. That's just my opinion. I guarantee. I will put it here now. If I'm number 1 to number 4 in our draft this year, I am not taking Mo Salah.
Well, I can tell you, if I'm number 1 in the draft this season, somehow, I'm going to start the goalie run in the first round just for fucking shits and giggles, just for the fun of it. No, I don't think there's 5 ahead of him, Gary. I don't think there's 5 that are as bankable, because even if he bleeds 25%, he's still 12 points a game. He's nailed on as hell. He's the only man with 38 at Liverpool last year. And the thing is, what we're arguing about here isn't is he good? It's is he good enough to be the very, very best or just the very best?
Yeah.
Who are you avoiding at Liverpool, Gary?
I'm avoiding Dominic Szoboszlai.
No.
Yes. Unfortunately, I just don't. So numbers last year look really, really strong. I just think with the signings that Liverpool have made, I wonder where he fits in for 38 games a season. And
I'd avoid
Jimmy, when you look at Liverpool and you want to try and get consistency in it, I don't think Szoboszlai plays more than 20 games.
Is this about Florian Wirtz?
Gary is making an absolute balls out of picking a Liverpool fucking draft pick.
This is about Florian Wirtz, isn't it? This is about the rotation risk of Wirtz.
It's about the players that they've signed to play in similar positions. So Szoboszlai kind of playing in an advanced attacking midfield role. Last season worked because the players that were there fit a system. I think you're going to see a slightly different system under Slot this year, where Szoboszlai comes in and out of the team. And that's mainly down to, you're right, that's mainly down to Florian Wirtz coming in.
Okay.
I would have been saying the obvious avoid is Robertson.
Well, Robertson's probably not going to be there. So, I mean, if we're talking about obvious avoids, then yeah.
Where's he going? I haven't seen anything about Robertson going.
There is talk of him moving on, but there's a lot of quiet. See, the thing with Liverpool is they won't do their business. You won't know they're doing their business until it gets announced.
Right.
You know what I mean? So probably what's going to happen in the next week or so, you'll see 3 or 4 players gone and Isak come in when it's all signed off.
Who?
Isaac. Yeah.
But but that's it. Like again, Szoboszlai is solid. He's a very, very good player. I just think from a fantasy perspective, he doesn't play enough games to warrant a top 5 or top 6 draft pick, which I think he went in the 6th round last year.
Not fair. You get that.
And I'm not saying you avoid him completely. I just think you avoid him in that top 6 where most people will probably be looking at him. You know, you can put Alexis McAllister into that level as well, because again, I think I drafted him in round 3 or 4 last year, and he was probably more of a round 6 draft pick based on what he did last year. But again, does he rotate in and out? He had a couple of niggling injuries over towards the end of the season and whatnot.
Well, Gary,
I just think there's too much of a rotation risk there.
How does this Liverpool team look like it's going to set up next year? Because I'm looking at the keepers. It's looking like probably Alisson. It looks like it's going to be Frimpong, Kirkes, Van Dijk, and
probably Konate or if he signs, but probably Konate.
Yeah.
2 holding midfielders will be Gravenberch and McAllister.
Yeah.
And then you're probably looking at
Etikette.
Well, you're looking at Salah, you're looking at Wirtz, you're looking at Ekitike, and if Isaac signs, which is very, very possible, that's your team. Szoboszlai will probably rotate in and out, but I don't know where he plays in that setup.
So who's the wild card?
The wild card is Florian Wirtz. Florian Wirtz is your wild card. If anyone has seen him in Germany, he's absolutely the real deal. I just don't know whether or not he'll adapt to the English game as quickly as you would expect him to, given the money that they've outlaid on him. Now, he looks the part. He looks like a strong lad. He doesn't look like somebody who's going to come in and shirk away from a tackle on a cold night at Burnley. There is a bit of a nasty streak about him. It's only pre-season, but he looked very, very good against Yokohama today, and he looked half decent against AC Milan the other day. So he's integrating well into he's integrating well into the team. It's just a question of how well he settles when the pace of the Premier League hits him like a freight train. So if he adapts, he is Kevin De Bruyne 2.0. It's a question of whether he adapts or not.
I can understand that. My wild card would have been Kirkes for that. It's very similar reasons, but Premier League proven.
Yeah, it's a fair one. I think Kirkes is probably more of a obvious pick because he's Premier League proven. And that's if we're talking wild card where you're kind of on the fence, I think it's
obvious first choice left back, solid defense, solid goalkeeper behind him. He'll pick up his defensive action points. He's guaranteed. He's one of the few nailed on to play. Robert is cooked now, and Simicast isn't up to it. So for me, he'd be my wild card. But I get the Wirtz thing. For me, I think I'm yet to see one of those north of 100 million transfers actually work, apart from what looks like Declan Rice so far. I know we ran through them a couple of weeks ago, and those transfers over 100 are like Jack Grealish.
Yeah, look, you've got to take into account 100 million, this year is not what 100 million was 5 years ago, and so on and so forth.
No, but there's that mental aspect of the price tag on your head and the fan expectation, and it hasn't worked.
The problem I have with Liverpool is when they go out and they spend big money. Now we're not gonna count Van Dijk because he was Premier League proven, and we're not counting Alisson because he's a goalkeeper.
Yeah,
but if you look historically at Liverpool signings when they spend big money, particularly in attacking positions, they tend not to work out well. Nunez was a bit of a flop. As much as I love the guy because he does try, he's been a bit of a flop.
Mm-hmm.
He's been a Carroll before that.
Completely.
Was a big flop. Suarez actually came in for small money, to be fair. I think he signed for something like 35 million, which
not even.
Yeah. So there wasn't big money spent on him. So I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence with Wirtz. To go back to the avoid, it was a toss up between Szoboszlai and Ekitike. I don't like the Ekitike signing. I don't like it. Yeah, I do not like it. When you look at the comparison between him and Isak, he's a very, very similar style of player. He is that kind of that lanky, long stride type player. Looks really good on the ball, makes a lot of, is always found in good positions and whatnot. Identical to Isak for stats last year, except in goals scored. Right? He actually finished behind his expected goal finish or expected goal tally in the Bundesliga last year. Everyone's talking about him because he's, French under 21 international. He's the second coming of, Kylian Mbappe or whatever. I don't know. But I don't think he adapts in the same way as Isak did when he signed from Sociedad. He's a little bit younger. He looks a bit light. I hope I am wrong. I really, really hope I am wrong. But I don't see 79 million. I really don't.
I think that's the problem with a lot of the strikers on the market at the moment. There seems to be this measuring. We're going to look back at this summer as the striker summer. And we're going to look at the prices paid, and you're going to look at them and go, only one or two of these big money ones actually turn out to be worth the while. Like United are looking at Sesko, he looks like 70-odd million. Chelsea did obviously Pedro for 50 and Gittins for in around the same. You have Arsenal, who've obviously done, what was it, 70 in the end for Gyökeres?
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that for Gyökeres. You have, who else is there? There's others. Isaac is obviously about to do some moving and shaking, and Haaland is Haaland. So you're going to see a lot of this moving and shaking around, and I think this is going to be the summer we look back. And like a few years ago when everybody bought a defensive midfielder, was it 3 years ago? Every team in England was looking at a CDM, and they all went and got one. So I don't know.
I'm going to throw some numbers at you on Liverpool players, guys, because I have a slightly different wildcard, and it's something a little bit different to what we normally have. I'm going to say, because as you know, I'm a big advocate of watching form and changing your lineup frequently. I'm going to say wait 3 weeks until you see what the lineups are like, and then get your hands on literally any player that's starting for Liverpool. Their top 11 players last year averaged over 10. Salah is not an outlier. The football that's being played at Liverpool, and I know a lot of stars aligned last year and a lot of things went well that may not necessarily this year. For example, City might be good. But for an entire team to be averaging over 10 points means that literally any of them is an asset if they're playing for Liverpool. And what you will find is the guys who played a lot of games and didn't score well have all been quietly moved on. Robbo, Curtis Jones, Darwin. Clearly, the people in charge at Liverpool are playing the same game we are. The statistics line up with the actual football output. The results that are coming from the good players are as high as you would expect. There are very few surprises here. If I was going to wildcard anyone, it's Gravenberch. I think as time goes on, he gets more and more central as a player. I think with McAllister being a bit injury prone, I think that balance is going to tip this year in terms of who gets the points at the DM spots. Yep. But literally any Liverpool player is an asset. Even if that drops by 25%, their average across the whole squad is still higher than everybody else's. Like, they're a ridiculously high-value team full of assets. If these new signings mean a bit of pep roulette, that's where you might lose out. But literally wait 3 weeks and take any unused Liverpool player like I did last year with Konate. It worked beautifully. It worked absolutely beautifully. Within that top 11, by the way, the only man who has left, apart from Alexander-Arnold, is Quentin Kelleher.
And Luis Diaz.
Diaz is gone now as well, isn't he?
Yeah, he signed for Bayern today, yeah.
But again, none of them are the ones driving that average up. Van Dijk, McAllister, Salah,
Gary, that Bayern attack next year is going to be disgraceful. That hurts to think of that Bayern attack next year. Diaz inside, Elise the other, and Kane through the middle.
Yeah.
No
points. No points for that. We are all about the FPL.
They'll be fun to watch in Europe. It'll be fun to watch in Europe.
Oh yeah, that's
points. Yeah.
Put a pin in it, Gary. Top,
That's
bottom, and random.
Your top pick is Salah, just not in your top 4 picks in the draft. I know. Yeah, I know. But I'm telling you here and now, lads, I've put my money on it. He doesn't finish in the top 4 players next season. Your avoid is Szoboszlai or possibly Ekatiki for the reasons that we've spoken about, and your wild card is Wirtz because he will play. It's just a question of how well he does.
I would add Kirkheads in as the other wild card, but apart from that, I think there's a whole pile of content over at the website right now, StatrDraft.com, STATR draft. We have obviously breakdowns of the entry fixtures, the first 5 fixtures, 6 fixtures for every team. Look at best picks in certain positions, who's facing the easiest run-ins, yada yada yada. Also, you can join the waiting list. We're getting really close with the app. Jimmy, do your thing, and then we'll tell everybody where to find us and be gone.
The app is on the way, folks. The app is on the way, and it is just getting the last little bit of testing. But you're going to love it. You're going to absolutely love it because we are playing with it pretty much every waking hour at the moment. Our point system is doing cool stuff. It's making more sense of football than what's happening with competitors, and it looks pretty too. At least I think it looks pretty.
It looks
then
really pretty.
Clearly, I am not in the business of what looks pretty. So yes, it will be with you as soon as we can get it to you. We are in
one
very
more
late days.
week for the waiting list. So last week of the waiting list. If you're not on it,
this is it. We have no more space on this ship. If you're not with us in the next week, you're next door for the year. So get over to STATRdraft.com. That's StatrDraft.com. Join the waiting list. Have a look at those lovely articles that myself, John, and the 2 boys have been banging out all year, and more to come as we get closer to the season starting. And I actually can't wait till the football comes back. I never thought I'd say that.
I had a dream last night that the football was back. And to say, you know the way sometimes you have a really wonderful, lovely dream and then you wake up and you're like, oh, it wasn't real.
Yeah.
But it will be soon.
I ruined my day before it even started. I literally had a dream I was watching the football on TV last night, so I can't come soon enough.
Less than 3 weeks, lads.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
2 weeks tonight. Or 2 weeks tomorrow night.
2 weeks tomorrow night.
That'll be, who is it? Is it Liverpool and Burnley?
Something like that. Liverpool anyway.
I think.
Community Shield is the week before, so we get to see Liverpool and Palace the week before.
And at 3 o'clock on the Saturday, Brighton will be at home to Fulham.
Can we go do something?
And I think we should. I really think we should. I think we should drink pints and stream our reactions to Brighton. Sorting out the dirty, cheating, hated Fulham.
Where's it on?
It's on the Amex. Home game for us.
I'm not going to Brighton. Fuck that. If it was on London, I'd say let's get a last second flight and just walk around.
You don't want to go to the town that's by the sea and is full of hippies and cool music.
No.
No.
Anyway, bye. I think that's us for today. Good luck.